The year is 2023. Humanity has developed some pretty advanced technology, but this is nothing compared to the highly advanced civilization that once lived in the Indus Valley. This was a culture that thrived during the 3rd millennium BCE with its grand cities, impressive architecture, and sophisticated way of life. And yet, for all its advancements, it's now been reduced to nothing more than a footnote in history, forgotten by the sands of time until now, because in present-day Pakistan, archaeologists have stumbled across something that could change everything. It's an ancient discovery that's got the world buzzing. Everyone's talking about what might be the most exciting find since the Rosetta Stone. But before we get into that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And now let's go back in time to the summer of 2023, when it all began. In the heart of the Indus Valley lies the ancient city of Mohenjo-Daro, also known as the Mound of the Dead. Back in 1922, excavations at the site uncovered one of history's greatest archaeological treasures. Imagine the thrill of finding a perfectly preserved ancient city, complete with towering buildings and intricate urban planning. It was as if stepping back in time thousands of years. This incredible discovery quickly became a sensation, attracting the attention of researchers and explorers from around the globe. And fast forward to present day, the legacy of Mohenjo-Daro continues to captivate the world. In 2023, a team led by the Sugar Museum embarked on a mission to excavate an area near the old city wall. Their goal was to uncover any remnants from the Bronze Age, hoping to shed new light on this enigmatic civilization. But they had no idea the groundbreaking discoveries that awaited them. As the excavators delved deeper into the layers of earth, they began to unearth a series of unusual artifacts, a collection of small polished pieces, each reflecting the sunlight in a mesmerizing way. At first, they thought they were just shiny pebbles, perhaps quartz or some other common stone. However, as they carefully examined these mysterious objects, they realized they were actually meticulously crafted mirrors made from obsidian, a naturally occurring volcanic glass. But what really piqued the interest of the archaeologists was the pattern in which they were found. Each mirror was positioned in a precise grid formation, similar to how modern computers are arranged in a data center. It was as if someone had intentionally created a vast network of reflective surfaces, but why? What could be the purpose of such a peculiar arrangement? The archaeologists were puzzled, but they continued their work diligently recording and documenting every detail. They had stumbled upon something unprecedented, a mystery that threatened to challenge everything they knew about ancient civilizations. Among the many members of the expedition, there was one who stood out, a young and bright student named Zara. Ever since she could remember, she had been fascinated by ancient history and technology. For her, archaeology was more than just a field of study. It was a passion, a way of life. She devoured books about ancient civilizations, spent countless hours in museums, and even taught herself several ancient languages. Her dedication and enthusiasm were evident in her work, always eager to learn and never afraid to ask questions. Her professors and colleagues admired her dedication, recognizing that she possessed a rare gift, the ability to connect the dots and see the bigger picture. Little did they know that this gift would soon be put to the ultimate test. As Zara continued to study the mirrors and their placement, she couldn't help but feel that there was something more to this discovery, something that went beyond a mere archaeological curiosity. She felt that these mirrors were not just random artifacts, but part of a larger puzzle, a puzzle that held secrets waiting to be uncovered. Obsessed with her theory, she pored over ancient texts, studied the geography of the region, and analyzed the cultural practices of the Indus Valley civilization. She was convinced that there was a connection between the mirrors, the layout of the city, and the beliefs of its people. Finally, after weeks of tireless research, she came up with a shocking conclusion. According to her interpretation, the mirrors were not just arranged in a grid formation by chance, but according to a specific astronomical alignment. If she was right, It meant that the ancient inhabitants of Mohenjo-Daro had possessed a deep understanding of the cosmos and used their knowledge to create a kind of celestial map. But that was just the beginning. Zara's investigation revealed that the mirrors were not just aligned with the stars, but also with each other. When sunlight hit the mirrors in the correct sequence, it would create a faint humming sound, a sound that was barely audible, yet carried a strange energy. Intrigued and a bit apprehensive, she decided to follow this lead. She gathered her fellow archaeologists, and together they formulated a plan. They would attempt to replicate the ancient alignment and see if the humming sound would reappear. The task was not easy. They had to position themselves correctly based on Zara's calculations and ensure that the mirrors reflected the sunlight accurately. But finally, after days of preparation, the moment of truth arrived. As the sun reached its zenith, they focused its rays onto the mirrors following Zara's instructions. At first, nothing happened. The mirrors simply reflected the sunlight back into the sky. But then, just as Zara had predicted, a faint humming sound began to fill the air. It was a low, resonant tone that seemed to vibrate in sync with the rhythm of the universe itself. The archaeologists were stunned. They had witnessed something truly extraordinary. This was no ordinary discovery. It was a testament to the ingenuity and cosmic wisdom of the ancient civilization. But the surprises didn't end there. As the sun began its descent, Zara noticed something peculiar. The humming sound seemed to intensify, almost as if the mirrors were coming alive. Then, suddenly, the sound stopped abruptly. The mirrors went silent and the sky turned a deep indigo. In the eerie silence that followed, the archaeologists noticed a strange phenomenon. Their hands, which had been reflecting the sunlight moments before, were now emitting a faint glow. Alarmed, they rushed to wash their hands, fearing that some chemical reaction was causing the strange illumination. But to their astonishment, the glow followed them everywhere. No matter how much water they used, it wouldn't go away. Then, as if guided by an invisible force, their eyes drifted towards the mirrors. They looked up and saw the reflection of their glowing hands, identical to those they had seen before. It was as if the mirrors were amplifying their body's natural energy. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. The mirrors vibrated, their humming sound filling the air once again. The archaeologists were terrified. They had unleashed something they didn't understand, and now the ancient city seemed to be responding in kind. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the rumbling ceased. The mirrors fell silent and the lights faded from their hands. But this was only the beginning of their troubles. As darkness fell over Mohenjo-Daro, the archaeologists felt an overwhelming urge to sleep, a pull towards their beds like an invisible force. Despite their attempts to resist, their eyelids grew heavy and they succumbed to the beckoning darkness. However, their dreams were far from ordinary. They dreamt of a great city bathed in brilliant light, soaring towers that reached for the heavens. But then, the dream took a sinister turn. They saw the city engulfed in flames, reduced to ashes and buried under the ground. The sight filled them with dread, and they woke up in cold sweats, shaken by the disturbing vision. But as the days passed, they began to notice a strange pattern in their dreams. Every night they revisited the burning city, reliving its fiery demise. It was as if the city itself was reaching out to them from the depths of time, desperate to convey its final moments. And so the archaeologists continued to visit the excavation site each morning, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a sense of urgency. Yet, no matter how diligently they worked, they couldn't seem to make any progress. The soil around the mirrors remained stubbornly compacted, resisting their efforts to dig deeper. It was as if the earth itself was guarding its secrets jealously. Frustrated and bewildered, the archaeologists decided to take a break. Perhaps they had unearthed more than they could handle, and it was best to leave the mysteries of Mohenjo-Daro undisturbed. But little did they know that the ancient city had other plans. As they packed up their tools and prepared to leave, the sky darkened ominously. The wind picked up, whipping around them with an eerie force. And then, as if summoned by their thoughts, the ground trembled beneath their feet. In the distance, they saw a blinding flash followed by a deafening roar. It was as if a giant spotlight had suddenly focused on the excavation site. Terrified, they ran towards the mirrors, seeking shelter behind their reflective surfaces. But their efforts were in vain. As they huddled together, they watched in horror as the ground around them glowed brighter, turning the mirrors into 1,000 burning suns. And then everything went black. Weeks later, the world learned of the mysterious incident at Mohenjo-Daro. Satellite images revealed a strange burn mark over the excavation site. But what had caused it remained a mystery. One theory suggested that a meteor had struck the Earth, leaving behind a scar of scorched earth. But others argued that it was no natural phenomenon. Instead, it was the aftermath of an ancient catastrophe, perhaps triggered by the meddling of modern researchers. Amidst the confusion, one thing became clear: the mirrors were gone. But in their place was something even more perplexing. The ground pulsed faintly, mimicking the rhythm of a heartbeat. Was it possible that the burn mark wasn't the end, but merely the beginning? Some say the mirrors were not just artifacts, but gateways to another realm. Others claimed that they were not just aligned with the stars, but actively communicated with them. Whatever the truth may be, the discovery at Mohenjo-Daro serves as a reminder of the boundless mysteries that lie hidden beneath the surface of our planet. It's a testament to the brilliance of ancient civilizations and the boundless wonders of the cosmos. The truth is out there waiting to be uncovered. It's just a matter of time before we decode the cryptic messages left behind by our ancestors. But until then, the ancient city will continue to whisper its secrets to the wind, leaving us in awe and wonder. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Your support keeps this channel alive and lets us bring you even more creepy, mysterious content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.